So here is what we are going to uncover in this video. We will identify that these stresses have their own type of fuel tank to take from. We will listen to what people think about stress. We will look at how stress affects a person mentally, emotionally, and physically. Are you with me? Let's uncover the cryptic answers. Stress and energies. There are types of stresses and spheres of energies that are specific to that type of stress that drains or uses up that energy. Stresses and their corresponding spheres of energy go together like the rubber to the road. The rubber wears out on the road. The energy drains because of the stress that uses up the rubber. So what is stress? What types of stresses are there? There are more than one type of energy. What is physical stress? What is mental stress? What is bad stress? What is good stress, for that matter? Is there even such a thing as good or bad stress? You are in the right place. This is Dr. Cryptolite. Let's uncover the cryptic answers, shall we? We will summarize everything we learned again at the end. So what do people say about stress? Akuna says, I feel so stressful when I gotta go to college. That really makes me so nervous. I try to calm down, but next semester I will have to assist. I hope all be okay. Arthur says, most people stay stressed because they consistently worry about urgent situations or ones that feel urgent rather than actually taking the steps to fix the problem quickly. Like most people, they rather stay stressed about deadlines instead of actually going to work when they get the assignment. Even when they try to work, they end up allowing themselves to get distracted. Focus on yourself and increase your mindfulness and concentration. Peldon says, oh my god, I just can't stop eating when I'm stressed out and I'll gain weight and that makes me feel more stressful. Paola says, I work hard as a caregiver and to make a decent paycheck you gotta do a lot of overtime. I decided while on vacation that it wasn't worth it. Jared says, being worried or sad about something does not solve the problem. The best thing you can do is propose solutions and choose the best, but do not imagine the results. Stick to the plan and live happily. Do not blame yourself if it does not turn out as planned. You did the best you could. Freya says, this is how I get stressed. When I'm doing math with my dad, he's telling me all this information at once and it overstresses my mind. Well, I can't handle it and I just start to tear up. Oban says, as a manager, I'm asked to justify the company's need of its workers doing shifts from Monday to Saturday every damn week, sometimes up to 60 hours a week. And the thought of mentioning mental health to my bosses and the fact that they are burning out their employees is a battle that falls flat to the effect. Our new plant manager said, word for word, if we have work, you will work. Period. End of discussion. I mean, some overtime is great, don't get me wrong. But other than Christmas and Good Friday, I've worked every Saturday since September of 2020. I'm burnt. It's time for a change. Technos says, everything keeps going against me. It hurts my brain so much. I've never even told anyone about my stress, and I think I'm almost at my limit. Darenda says, I'm one of the top students from my class. Wanting to be perfect and wanting to get full marks and grades is very stressful. It results into me getting panic attacks, crying, and most importantly, stress. And in turn, it will make me feel sick. Elia says, The extreme stress from working under pressure with surgeons barking at us, being on call for 24 hours, as well as COVID, have all mounted on us. Even though I run all over the place and barely get a chance to sit, I've gained weight and my cholesterol suddenly spiked last year. Nelora says, I cried at the meeting, begging my bosses to let me sleep after 40 hours without sleep. I've been going through this for months of overwork. Now everyone's talking behind my back about that incident. As made available to your eyes and ears, people definitely know the feeling of stress and its many facets. Something that Nelora said is interesting, begging the bosses for sleep after 40 hours of being awake. It suggests that her bosses are more than happy to see her exhaust herself to the point where she could make a serious error, at which time they would simply fire her. It certainly feels like they don't care if her candle burns all the way down. They treat her like just any other. If it burns out, get a new one. Tekna said something interesting. Everything goes against him. He is almost at his limit. He has never told anyone about how he feels. Is it because he thinks everyone else seems to do so well, so it just must be him that sucks? Elia said something interesting. She has been on call for 24 hours. She barely has time to sit, and the surgeons bark at them. Weight gain and higher cholesterol is what she notices as a negative physical effect. So from these comments we can see some important points. Stress can come when a person is pushed and used like an expendable item, like toothpaste, you dash it away after use. Stress can occur when a person goes through a negative experience. They feel they have no one else to relate to tell their concerns to someone who understands. Stress can measurably impact the body, and the body serves the mind, delivering negativity, badly calculated negative choices which bring on mistakes, and the affected person loses their job. Next employee. The dictionaries describe stress as a strain that affects a person emotionally, mentally, and physically. So what's the difference between stress emotionally and stress mentally? Emotions are like a receiver. They take in information and make you feel a certain way, and that is dealt with one side of the brain, the emo-social one, the emotional and social part of the brain. Mental feels more like pressure, and that is dealt with the logical part of the brain. For example, when a deadline approaches and certain tasks need to be completed or bills need to be paid, there are logical solutions. Then there's the physical, where stress shows as stomach cramps, white lines through all the fingernails, falling off hair or a few grey strains, not being able to drop a deuce all in one go, weight gain, higher cholesterol, shallow breathing, passing out, and on the symptoms go. So the main stresses are emotional, mental, and physical. Imagine these three words in bubbles of their own. Create a line down on each and make a new bubble for each line. These are the corresponding energies for each type of stress: emotional energy, mental energy, and physical energy. You can't use emotional energy for physical stress. You can't use physical energy for emotional stress neither. Each energy bubble is strictly linked to its corresponding stress. Each of these stresses use up their corresponding energy bubbles. Like you can't put diesel into an unleaded car, you can't put unleaded into a diesel car. Neither can you use an electric charging station on a gas car, no matter that it is unleaded or diesel. Fun fact, the word correspond is from the medieval Latin word corrispondere, which is one word made out of the combination of two words, correct plus response. Correct response equals correspond. Emotional energy. So what are some examples of stresses that use up emotional energy? Talking to people at a party, talking to colleagues in an office, visiting the in-laws. These are all social interactions where emotions are traded and used up. Both talking and listening, and eye contact and body language use up emotional energy, mental energy. So what are some examples of stresses that use up mental energy? Believe it or not, people at a party are not just making a bunch of unintelligible noises. There is some navigating, leading, pausing, listening, and corresponding going on. That is the job of the logical part of the brain, looking at differently shaped pieces in the dark and trying to feel its way to the right hole shape to push it into, corresponding the correct response. So talking to people at a party or an office full of colleagues or with the in-laws both use up emotional energy and mental energy, because emotional stresses and mental stresses are both used and demanding. Physical energy. So what are some examples of stresses that use up physical energy? The heart, for one, is always beating. It uses up energy and magic. I say magic because when scientists are able to figure out that puzzle, we could live biblically long, try 900 years long, and stay youthful. Stresses like weightlifting or bodybuilding, 100-meter sprints, bodily intercourse, motorcycling, rowboating, climbing stairs, astronauting, boxing, MMA, and the list goes on. And as stress on its own is neither good or bad, so is luck on its own neither good or bad. But both stresses, good stress and bad stress, use up energy. To summarize, there are 3 types of stresses: emotional stress, mental stress, and physical stress. There are 3 corresponding energies: emotional energy, mental energy, and physical energy. What's the difference between stress emotionally and stress mentally? A. Emotions are like a receiver. They take information and make you feel a certain way, and that is dealt with one side of the brain, the emo-social one, the emotional and social part of the brain. B. Mental feels more like pressure, and that is dealt with the logical part of the brain. For example, when a deadline approaches and certain tasks need to be completed or bills need to be paid, there are logical solutions. C. Then there is the physical, where stress shows as stomach cramps, white lines through all the fingernails, falling off hair, or a few grey strains, not being able to drop a deuce all in one go, weight gain, higher cholesterol, shallow breathing, passing out, etc. Stress on its own is neither good or bad. Good stress and bad stress both use up energy. So what do you think? What examples of stress did you experience in the last few years? Can you remember if any of these stresses applied? When you think back now, can you identify the different energy bubbles? Was it true for you? Was mental energy different from emotional energy? And how about physical stress? Did the exercise, stretching, and meditating help? The energy to solve problems versus the energy that feels problems. What other experiences did you have that was stressful? Perhaps you had to take school or university exams during the lockdown period. What was stress like with your relationships? How and when did you discover to give each other space, me time? Did you find answers on how to deal with the stresses you experienced? Don't be afraid to leave your comments below. Maybe your thoughtful comments will help someone who needs it. If this video was of any help to you, feel no stress and also express yourselves by giving this video a like, a thumbs up. The YouTube algorithm will take notes and bring this video to those who want to uncover the cryptic answers. Don't forget to subscribe. It's free. You have been listening to drcryptolite.com.